For question 1, we were asked if there was any different recycling patterns between counties for each of the different types of waste. And this top chart is showing that in some counties, I was seeing growth in different types of waste, and in some counties, we were seeing a decline every month. And so that's what this chart is showing, is it's highlighting the differences in the types. The second chart is looking at for each county over the course of all their years, what percentage of their total recycling was landfill and on-site. And what I noticed in this chart is that on-site and organics always seem to be kind of the lower numbers. The one that, and then recycling was typically the higher, or landfill, I'm sorry, landfill was typically the higher. The one that I noticed a lot of change on was this waste to energy. As you got into Clearwater, you saw higher numbers there. So it looks like on-site and organics seem to be lower for every county, with waste to energy being, could be very, a wide range of different percentages throughout all the counties. Then down below here is highlighted charts. The landfill is really green, so that's typically the most common, the most highest percentage in each county. On-site, you see some counties have the darker greens. They would be the ones that have a little bit higher on-site. Then you got the organics and recycling are kind of all very similar for each county. There's some exceptions in there. And then waste to energy, like I was showing above, we have some counties that are doing a lot, and then some that are doing absolutely none. So that's what that chart is showing. Then I took a look at the census website, and they had divided out each county into 4 different groupings of county types. And that's rural and town and rural and urban, and an urban, town, and rural. And what I noticed here is organics and on-site, they're kind of similar throughout each of those county types. However, again, waste to energy, the per person, was much higher in an urban setting than in the other 3 settings. Question 2.
Are there any different recycling patterns between counties for each type of recycling category based on recycling by category data? Are the patterns consistent for different types of recycling category? We started out by analyzing the overall trend of recycling by county for this question. As you can see, we start in 1991 at 3 million tons of statewide recycling, which moved to just over 17 million in 2017, with a spike in 2014 of 18.2 million. State averages and trends, as you can see, paper has been and continues to be the highest amount of recycled category, followed by metal as an increasing trend, organic also as an increasing trend, and hazardous materials as a decreasing trend. And this is a percentage of overall. So paper in 2017 was 34.2% of the overall recycled material. Metal was 15.27, and organics was 10.84. From the statewide trends, we dug into each county to see if we could verify how the statewide trends were moving. And as you can see here, we do have hazardous, although it's not much. You do have a slight decline in most of the counties. Similar with metal and organics, you have a slight increase in the trends per county over the years. And also with paper, most counties, as far as their percentage of that category in their recycled products, is going down comparatively. The other categories that are not present here were mostly flatlined and considered irrelevant to this analysis. Moving down to the next chart is a 3-year moving average by county type. We sorted through each county and organized them from Minnesota state data by what the county types were, if they were entirely rural, town-rural mix, urban, urban-town, and rural mix. And as you can see here, urban counties are contributing more and more over the years to their recycling tonnage. And then entirely rural is basically staying flat. So they're either don't have the infrastructure or they just don't have the abilities to be able to recycle as much, or they just don't have as many recyclables. And then from that chart, I broke it down into each separate category or each county group type by category. So in urban, you can see that paper is still a large percent in tonnage. It's still the most amount of recycled product. What was surprising to me for urban category is that the organic numbers are increasing almost exponentially when you look at this 3-year moving average curve. And then metal seems to go up and down, ebbs and flows, I think probably with the economy in the value of metals, because I would imagine that cars themselves are the largest part of what metal recyclers are taking. Rural town mix, again, paper highest, metal is coming up pretty high, and then you've got in recent years a pretty large uptick in organics as well. And then rural and urban town mostly look the same, with paper obviously being number 1, metal second, with the only difference in counties where you have urban, town, and rural all mixed together. Again, they're showing an increase in organics as well. So for the overall, I think a lot of counties are looking into organic type of recycling options. Done.
Question 3.
What is the question? This is question 3, and it is about the average expenditure by category by visually and it has statistically in the expenditure by category statistical meaningful. If so, what did you discover? What did we discover is that in our first portion, we considered our data according to the average by county in McLeod compared to the other counties in the state. And as you go further, it is lower than, and as the graph goes down. On our next, the next diagram that we have checked is also the total expenses by the percentage total expenses by category, and as from 2014 to 2017, as you can see, the blues is the most dominant one, followed by the Western energy, which is the yellowish in color, and the green is also another dominant color in the energy. Further, and this is the one we also compared the revenue expenses by county, and as you can see also here, McLeod and McLeod total expenses is more than the total revenues, and compared to the other cities, which makes McLeod in a deficit in terms of its revenue generating and expenses. As you can, if we go lower than that, some counties has almost the total number of expenses and also revenues equals with each other. And there is only one, there is only 2 to 3 counties which has a surplus in their revenues. For example, and for example, Babyston and has 60K and surplus in its revenue. And as you can, if we go to the last diagram, it is the expenses by category. And in this one, it shows that McLeod is still the leading.
What we did for question 4 is we looked at the net income and total tons to see if there was any correlation between the two by category. And net income was a calculated measure by taking all of your revenues and subtracting all of your expenditures. And if we look at total tons by category, we see in the big picture, there kind of really is no correlation. However, if you break it down by county, I'll pass this over to Isaiah to break this down a little bit further.
Okay, this is Isaiah continuing with question 4 about the net income's effect on recycling. Does more trash have an effect on the profit a county generates? So here we see a scatter plot chart showing the y-axis has the running net income of all the years we have data for, and on the bottom we see the x-axis for total tons. And we see that for the most part, a lot of towns have less recycling and are clustered here, but we also see that there are some here that go down. The bulk of towns that get very profitable tend to be towards the left side of the graph, indicating they have lower amounts of recycling tonnage each year. And where we see the least profitable ones down here, we believe that there is a small correlation that more recycling in a county does have a negative impact on profit, but it isn't a very large impact. We believe that it's because that there's just more stuff. There's a higher chance that a facility will run into extra costs. We can now see a year-by-year color chart of each county for their total tons on the right and their profit on the left. And we can see that each year most counties stay consistent for their profit. And there is change in the tonnage year after year for counties, not a lot. Some counties do seem to be having less trash here in the last few years, which may be why some counties have been going up slightly, or it may be that they have been figuring out how to better cycle and have become more efficient. Here we have a map of net income on the left and total tons on the right to give a nice visual representation of which areas have the most trash and which areas have the least or most income. And we can see that some of the higher areas like Itasca County has a 0 net income, but they have 200,000 tons in trash. But there are outliers with Stearns where they have about 1 million pounds of trash and are still making a profit. And that is question 4.
Thank you.